Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely pumped to guide you through this session because, well, we're basically stepping into a corporate flight simulator today. If you've ever felt the sheer pressure of a high-stakes meeting with leadership, you know exactly how turbulent things can get, right? So today, we're going to equip you with the ultimate survival toolkit to help you navigate those friendly, and sometimes not so friendly, skies smoothly and confidently. Let's get into it. Okay, picture this. You're sitting in the boardroom, or maybe you're just staring at a giant grid of faces on a video call. Suddenly, the CEO or your department head turns directly to you and asks a highly specific question. And boom, your mind goes completely blank. Your heart starts racing. Look, we have literally all been there. It is a completely universal stress response to being put on the spot by leadership. But what if you had a predetermined set of responses ready to deploy at a moment's notice? Well, that's exactly what our source document today is going to give us.
All right, let's dive into this. The document we're unpacking today is brilliantly titled The Executive Meeting Survival Kit. And its whole purpose? It's to help you take that raw internal panic you feel when you're put on the spot and instantly translate it into polished, professional executive speak. Think of it as a tactical toolkit designed to buy you time, gracefully deflect when you need to, and most importantly, maintain an image of absolute control and momentum. So, to get you fully equipped, here is our flight plan for today. We're going to cover routine status and alignment, managing tasks and collaboration, masking mistakes and delays, and finally, emergency time buying tactics. All right, starting off with section 1, routine status and alignment. Now, in these routine alignment checks, leadership isn't usually looking for a deep dive. Your main goal here is just reassurance. So imagine the tension. The room gets super quiet, a manager looks at you and asks, "How are you tracking this?" Okay, deep breath. It's a question that honestly feels like a trap. Do they want a spreadsheet, a step-by-step methodology? If you start rattling off minor details right now, you might lose them or just sound disorganized. You need a response that projects total, calm oversight. And this right here brilliantly illustrates the perfect response. According to our survival kit, you say, "Things are moving in the right direction, and we're working through the remaining items as they come up. We already have some follow-up meetings lined up." Notice what this actually does. It is the ultimate technique of reassurance. You're showing leadership that forward momentum is happening, but without committing yourself to immediate, super granular details that you might not even have at your fingertips. You just finish by assuring them you'll keep everyone updated as you move forward. Smooth, right? Okay, here is another classic one. Anything we can do to help move this forward? Man, this is a deceptively simple question. It sounds supportive, and hey, it usually is, but it can so often trap eager professionals into overpromising, or honestly, even worse, admitting they're overwhelmed and appearing totally out of control. So how do you accept that goodwill without looking like you're sinking? So the crucial point here is asserting your control over the workflow. You respond with, "At the moment, we're in a good place. There are still a few areas we're working through, but nothing that we can't manage." Boom! You acknowledge the work, but you establish that you are the one managing it. Then you just close the loop politely. "If we identify anything that would benefit from additional support, we'll definitely reach out." It's polite, it's super confident, and it shuts down unnecessary micromanagement before it even begins. Moving right along to section 2, managing tasks and collaboration. Okay, this is what I like to call the interrogation phase. This is where executives start hunting for new information. Out of nowhere, boom, "Can you look into that?" is just dropped right onto your plate. You didn't prepare for this topic, you don't have the data, but the whole room is just sitting there waiting for your response. Your gut instinct is probably to just say, "Yes, I'll do it right now," or to start guessing at an answer to look smart. Please don't do that. Both of those are super dangerous. Instead, you deploy this exact phrasing. "Let me take a closer look at that and make sure we're working with the right information." This response is an absolute masterpiece. It perfectly buys you time to validate facts rather than just guessing on the spot. You follow it up by saying you want to make sure you have the full picture before giving a more specific answer. It sounds incredibly diligent and thorough, and it completely masks the fact that you simply don't have the answer right now. And then comes the dependency question. "Have you spoken with so-and-so about this?" This one is highly specific. You either have or you haven't, and depending on reality, you need to execute a branching corporate maneuver to keep your professional standing totally intact.
Now, what's really interesting here is how our source provides two very distinct strategies based on your reality. If you haven't spoken to them, you don't just say no. You say, not yet, but that's already on my radar. You frame it as a deliberate choice to gather context before drawing conclusions. But if the answer is yes, you say, yes, we've started those conversations, aligning on details and open questions. Both paths project forward motion and active collaboration, regardless of whether you literally just remembered you need to email that person or if you've been in meetings with them all week.
Up next is Section 3, Masking Mistakes and Delays. Consider this the absolute danger zone of the meeting. Tasks have fallen behind, or let's be real, maybe you completely forgot an action item. It leads to the question everyone dreads. Why is this still open? Yikes. The silence in the room is deafening. The spotlight is glaring directly on your perceived failure to execute.
Well, here is the anatomy of the perfect deflection. You immediately pivot the focus from your delay onto ongoing momentum and external dependencies. You state that you've completed the actions on your side and you're continuing to follow up on remaining dependencies. You can also mention that items require additional input and validation. By using that magic word, dependencies, you professionally communicate that the delay is part of a larger ecosystem, not just a personal oversight on your part.
Let's see how this builds into the ultimate translation. The situation, you forgot. Like, completely forgot. But obviously, you cannot just say, I forgot in an executive meeting. So, the execution. This is something I've been tracking, but there are a few dependencies we've been working through. I'm continuing the follow-ups and making sure we keep the momentum going until we get it closed out. See what happened there? You have skillfully translated the raw panic of dropping the ball into a polished update that entirely maintains your professional dignity. It's honestly kind of brilliant. All right, bringing us to Section 4, Emergency Time Buying Tactics. These are the literal eject buttons for when you are put on the spot, have absolutely zero context, and you just need 5 seconds to think. Let's rapid fire through this tactical dashboard, straight from our source's notes. Emergency 1. That's a good question. Let me think through that for a moment. Excellent for just buying raw time. Emergency 2. I want to make sure I'm looking at this the right way. That gives you crucial seconds to organize your ideas. Emergency 3. Let me take a step back for a second. Our source notes this is highly utilized by managers to instantly change the scope of the whole conversation. Emergency 4. Based on what we know today, you use this to start an answer even if you don't have everything completely clear yet. And finally, Emergency 5. That's helpful context, the perfect response when someone just explains something incredibly complex and you literally just need a second to process it before speaking. And there you have it, folks. You've seen the phrases, you understand the psychology behind them, and you now have the tactics to buy time, deflect gracefully, and maintain your momentum. So I want to leave you with this final thought. With these exact phrases in your back pocket, translating that raw panic into polish, are you ready to survive and actually thrive in your next executive meeting? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.